Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time. Back with his good friend, Jonathan Twomley. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Michael. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I just realized there was a question I wanted to ask you, and I've never asked you. And this is like a year and a half later, so I apologize for not asking this earlier. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So at the peak of your portfolio, you had just over 400 units
Sure.
across a couple of apartment buildings. And I'm curious, how much time was Jonathan spending in the muck and mire of operational management, rent collection, repair requests, approvals, all that stuff that it takes to be a landlord? Because I'm sure that was a lot of work. 400 units, I can only imagine.
Yeah, so there's four properties. They were in two cities in South Carolina.
Okay.
400 units. The smallest one was 54 units. The biggest is 132.
Okay.
We had, professional management company on there, about 20 employees across the whole portfolio. We had lenders to deal with. We had, investors to deal with, taxes to prepare, all that kind of stuff. So I would estimate that in the average week, aside from getting the deals, right? So there's
I'm talking post ownership, like
you're talking about like once we close,
Yep.
right? I would estimate that on average, to deal with all of that, average week probably 3 to 4 hours a week, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna guess, I would have guessed north of 10. But so let's say 4 hours a week. That's what, roughly 16 hours a month.
Yeah, and some of that, and so like an hour of that was like talking with my manager every week.
Right.
So there were like questions that would come up by email that I need to answer. Dealing with the lenders occasionally, or dealing with the property manager, or investor questions. Get a little busier around year end when I had to get sort of review the taxes and get everybody's.
Right.
I didn't have to prepare them, but I mean, just had to make sure the accountants had what they needed and that everybody got their K1s and stuff like that. So it's a little more year end stuff. But really, I mean, that was it. Travel down to the properties occasionally to check them out.
Now, were these value add deals, meaning, hey, we're going to take the 54 units and we're going to upgrade half of them, or were they running?
No, they were basically buy and hold deals.
Okay, all right.
Some value add. We did some light value add on the largest one, mostly exterior stuff.
Okay.
But and then
so it wasn't a heavy lift. Like, hey, we're going to jack all these up.
Yeah, they weren't heavy lifts where we had to go and like completely redo everything. I mean, occasionally we would have units that had to be completely redone.
But that's
for whatever reason, right? And then towards the end of holding these properties, we started upgrading units on turns, but there was nothing, for me to do, right? So this is the thing with multifamily. When you have a property manager on site, there is very little for you to actually do, which is one of the great things about it. And you obviously need to keep on top of the manager. You need to like pop in on the property periodically, unannounced visits,
unannounced visits. I'm glad you said that. That was an eye opener for me. I told you I was coming. It's great. I showed it the very next week. Not so great.
Unannounced visits are key.
Yeah.
And then, you have to review the financials, once a month. And then you've got your Monday morning reports to review, but this is not like a heavy time intensive thing.
Okay.
So, I tell people all the time that you can actually do this part-time while you're building your portfolio.
Nice.
Until the point where you have enough income that you can leave your job. Like you can absolutely do that. The finding deals is a little more intensive, but even then, if you do that the right way, I always tell people you are not the grunt person on the deal. You are the CEO of the deal. You have professionals who are doing all the stuff. Your job is just to make sure that everyone who's doing stuff is doing the stuff that they said they're supposed to do, right? And probably the most labor-intensive thing for you, if you're syndicating, is chasing investors.
Okay.
Like all those people who said they're going to invest in your deal. I'm doing that now. I'm spending a bunch of time right now, like chasing people who have, made soft commitments on deals, and then, now we're, and then they disappear on you. And track them down.
So let's break that up. So again, operationally, we're going to call it 3 hours a week.
Yeah.
How much time are you spending a week looking for the next deal?
Well, that really depends on how much you want to spend, right? I mean,
okay.
So you could spend all day doing that if you want to, or if your market is fairly limited, maybe not. If you're kind of only investing in a couple of markets and those are your strike zone, so to speak.
Right.
You know, you're
Your
you're
buy
look-
box, to use my word, but yeah.
yeah, you're looking at what comes across your desk on the publicly marketed deals. Your brokers are calling you, hopefully, with like off-market stuff, and you're taking a look at that. But again, this is not. I mean, I suppose you could spend all your time doing this if you wanted to. I don't know. You know, maybe you need to be looking across the whole country to be spending all your time.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at, if you've got 2 or 3 markets that you're focused on, you know, it's not going to. That's again.
Do you think it's more or less than the 3 hours? That's really where I'm trying to go.
Oh, for underwriting? Well, I mean, look, when I underwrite a deal, it probably takes me, I kind of dig in pretty deep. So maybe it's going to be 2, I can get lost doing it because it's fun, but it could be like 2, 3 hours underwriting a deal maybe. So
Okay.
you could quickly add up if you're seeing a lot of deals, but if you're not seeing that many deals because
Yeah.
you know,
Your
like
buy
right-
box is small or whatever. Yeah.
well, right now, I don't even look at the stuff that's publicly marketed. I mean, there's
You're not on LoopNet all day? Come on.
no, I don't mean that. I mean like the broker lists.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because the broker lists, like you're just one of 5,000 people getting this,
Yeah.
and you know, and there's going to be somebody who is going to put up $1 million of hard money on day one
Yeah.
and buy the deal, and it's just not me. So I don't even bother looking at that stuff.
Okay.
You know, I only look at the off-market stuff that people bring me because I figure I've got a better chance, and it's not like that's coming every day. Right?
No, I gotcha. All right.
So, yeah.
And then, so I'm trying to divide up the work so people can realize where Jonathan focused. So there's the operational component, there's looking for deals. And then obviously you just talked about it, chasing investors, right? Is that the most time consuming?
Well, I wouldn't even say that's even that time consuming because
Okay.
you're talking about sending a couple of emails or
Okay.
texts or phone calls. So, you know, like I spent 15, 20 minutes this morning sending out emails to people that I hadn't heard back from. So it's not like a hugely time intensive thing. You know, again, we're like selling a deal you've got.
Mhm.
You're talking about sending out, you know, like an email every day, you know, offering the deal until you've got your soft commitments filled up, right? That's sort of, it's not like it's not, you know, and then you've got, you know, you're gonna have to like review the legal documents. But again, none of this is like, this is not a full-time job, is what I'm trying to tell people. If you get big enough to where it becomes a full-time job, then you're probably like everybody that I know who's basically spending like all their time doing this, they've got staff at this point because they're just that, right? They can afford to like hire analysts to do their first cut, looking at deals, you know, that kind of stuff. So if you get big enough, you will, you know, but even then, you know, you shouldn't be spending all your time doing it, right? Because then you have people.
That's what a team's for. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, as my father-in-law frequently says, like, if you're a business owner and you're spending more than 2 hours a day, like at your business, you're not doing it right.
You're not doing it right. I like that. Very cool. Very cool, Jonathan. This is a lot of fun. And again, you have some deals you're working on right now, right? So people need to fill out your investor.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the pipeline is starting to fill up again.
Nice.
And so we're working on a number of things. This is all co-GP stuff. So deals I'm working as a co-GP with other people. But still, if you would like to access these deals, the way to do it is to Google my company, which is Two Bridges Asset Management, LLC, and fill out the investor form, and we'll be in touch.
Very cool. Thank you very much, Jonathan.
Absolutely.